Everybody, welcome, and thanks for joining. Thanks for the investment. I always appreciate. I know you all have a choice in screen time, so thanks for being a part of this. For those of you who I have not met and who I will not meet because I can't see you physically, my name's Craig Kreskis. I'm a partner solution architect here at Microsoft. I've been in the Dynamics business for a very long time, 24 years. I started when Microsoft first started doing all of business applications, Dynamics, and I've always been a part of the partner channel as an extension of you and your organization. And for many of you who I have worked with, you know that back in the days we would co-sell, we'd go out on opportunities together, we would do discovery and we do demos. We'd come back and we rehash, what worked well, what didn't. And so in this session, it's all about how do we think about, I'd say, scaling or just helping out your teams. I've gotten some incredible feedback over the years of the tools and resources that we present to you and that I build and deliver. And so I'll go through those and I'll talk about the benefits, where some make sense, some don't. But again, the goal idea here is just what's available for you as a partner, assuming maybe some of you are new to Business Central, or you're just getting started. What are all the tools and resources, and how do you get some of your demo configured? So by now, I would imagine, or I'm hoping, at least most of you are immersed in at least one of your favorite sports in the Olympics. If you were watching last night, the excitement around the 1500-meter race and all the drama that existed there, right? And all the personal stories and the challenges and the triumphs. And then yesterday, as I was getting ready, I've got a couple other presentations that are happening this week. There was artistic swimming, formerly known as synchronized swimming, and it was on TV with the sound off. And as I was preparing again for today's presentation, and I was like, how do I tie synchronized or artistic swimming with software demos? And it's actually pretty easy. There's something that is called judging bias. And whether it's fair or not, the reality is once we are presenting to audiences, whether it's our website, whether it's our spoken words, this session that I'm delivering today, right? There's always a judging bias. And sometimes we don't know it, right? We don't know how we're being judged. It could also be gymnastics. It could be high jump. And the point of the judging bias and where this ties into demos is I always want us to be on the favorable side of that judging bias. And that could be, again, building out industry demo data, making sure that everything that we do in discovery follows through in our demos. And, also the message around that demos may not always win, and most likely it doesn't win business, but it can certainly lose deals, right? Bad demonstrations, software that just doesn't look right. It doesn't present well to your audiences. Maybe there's an important element and that we've missed on that. And again, also it's about your demo environments and making sure that you're in a stress-free environment so that you can highlight the key areas either that come from Business Central or that were an outcome and a combination of your discovery with the solutions that you're trying to present. So I hope that ties in. And again, my goal at Microsoft has always been, how do I make your job easier? How do I make it so that you're going to onboard new pre-sales people, new salespeople? How do they understand the breadth of Business Central and of course, Dynamics 365? And so what I'm going to do, and again, the Velocity team asked me to present just kind of on what's available for you as a partner, what are the platforms, and then the scenarios and the resources that we would go to market with. So I'm going to start out the first section around just the demo environments, the platforms, because there's been some changes that happen, and I just want to make sure we're all on the same level playing field. So first, there are 3 different options that I would present to any partner starting out building a Business Central practice. The first one would be CDX. It's called Customer Digital Experience. Also, we used to refer to it as demos.microsoft.com because that was the original URL. So whenever you type in demos.microsoft.com, whenever you type in that URL, it'll bring you to this page. Again, Customer Digital Experiences. And there's a number of different resources you can click on, your experiences. I always point out, obviously, we start out here in environments. Now from here, there's a couple things I wanted to point out. First, you can see that from here I have all of my demo environments that are current for me. If I go to create, and here's what I was going to focus on, this platform has changed over the last 2 or 3 months. I don't know if anyone who's relying on this, I can tell you for me as an employee, I've had some challenges as well, just like you as partners, because of some of the limitations, mostly around security. And so our Microsoft IT or Microsoft organization that supports this platform has pulled back on a number of different reasons that, again, we don't need to get into. But the point is the platform is still available for you, and it is extremely rich and helpful. It's my go-to. It's my option number one. What's changed is, and again, maybe for you guys, it's a little bit different. And I used to have these, the 90-day tenants, I would have 6 of them. And that's going to strip down to, was originally 1. I just noticed last week as I was getting ready to do another Business Central tenant that it incremented to 3. So again, depending on your partner portfolio or your partner role, I should say, you should have something similar to what I'm showing on the top right corner. Now, to get started, I would always defer these quick tenants, leave it at the 90 days. And if you scroll down, you'll notice here I've got highlighted the customer engagement. Now, a little bit below this screen, you could also go and create a Business Central tenant direct. My advice has always been that you go start with a customer engagement tenant, only because it gives me a lot more to highlight when I'm presenting to my audiences, right? It gives me all of the customer engagement applications, CRM, sales, customer service, field service, Power Platform, etc. So it's just a simple, easy way to get started. And so I do is create that tenant, hit the check mark, and then you accept the terms. Now you will see here, once you do create that, you've got your admin user, so you can copy, and then you've got your admin password. The beauty of this tenant, and I'll get into the pros and cons for each of these, is going to be that you get 25 users with each one of these demo tenants. And again, just if you're going to start to show off, highlight areas such as workflow and Power Automate, or you want to show some of the Teams integration where you're doing a chat, it's a lot easier when you're doing a chat between Alan and my admin user, or Alan and Alicia, an admin. So again, you've got additional users when you start to use this data platform. Now, of course, we don't have Business Central set up yet, right? So if I went to just that customer engagement, I need to then go inside of a browser. Now make sure that this browser is either in private or incognito, okay? And the page you're looking for here is going to be called trials.dynamics.com. So this is the latest version on that site. It's where you can go and obviously create 30-day trials of all of the different applications. But we already have a 30-day trial of sales and 90-day of sales and customer service. What I don't have is Business Central. So you can get there, just click on the finance operations, it'll filter. And then here, just select on the Business Central, select try free, and then go ahead and choose your trial. There's some FAQs down at the bottom. And again, I'm skipping some of the things that there's some quizzes or some questionnaires that are guiding customers, because remember, this is a viral experience. And we're doing our best to start to encourage the customer, the prospect, obviously to buy. So if I hit that start trial, and now I'm prompted to sign in. So if you either you sign in already on the browser, or you could sign in here, hit continue. You'll hit get started. I skip. I don't need to send invitations to any other users in that organization. Again, this is my trial account. And then I get started, and then I'll select skip the survey. This takes just a second or two to spin up. And now you've got Business Central in a trial environment. All really good standard customer or demo data. You've got some information in the tiles, with ongoing sales, your sales orders, Again, so I think this has just a great, simple, easy experience. And again, I've got customer engagement and I've got Business Central in that same demo environment. Now, a couple of things I promise, and again, I always do this in any of the training sessions I do when partners, when we talk about demo environments, is there's a good and bad for both, for all three. So for the CDX demo environment, what's the good of it? The pro, it's free. You license all of the Microsoft Cloud applications, and something not here in the list is that you're an admin user. So I can start to modify and control that demo environment because I'm the admin user in there. Again, I have access to the customer engagement applications. You can see here, again, I need to update this, or I was leaving it in there because I wasn't sure if some of you have your 3, but again, it used to be up to 6 tenants, and you can create 25 different predefined users that you can leverage. So that's just gravy to me, and it's just simple and easy to create. And the nice thing is, if something goes wrong, I trash it. I get rid of the environment, I delete it, and I start all over. The cons of it are, it does require me to use incognito in private browser. Now, there are a few other, I would say, tips I can give you if this is something you are using. You can set up profiles inside of your browser so that it'll save it with your credentials. It's cached, and you can set up all of your favorite toolbars and all the favorite apps. Again, the con is that M365, so Outlook, if you're going to highlight all the great integrations you have between Outlook and Teams and Business Central, Excel and Business Central, all of that does expire in 90 days. So just kind of keep that in your back of your mind. I do have a caveat I'll explain in just a minute. And then the login experience, again, it's gotten a lot easier because if you are using profiles, it's so simple and easy. Whereas in the past, you had to use the incognito or in private browser. You had to go back to demos.microsoft.com, copy and paste your users and password, and sign in. So it's a little bit different. And then again, the caveat is on the con side and the asterisk, even though Microsoft 365 expires, as long as you do not create a brand new evaluation company, right? So if I just create a brand new company in Business Central after I create that trial, Business Central will not expire. Now, again, if you don't touch the tenant for a year, I'm sure that our engineering team does go through and purge those sites. But if you go and create a brand new company inside of Business Central and you designate it as, again, in the trial side of it, it will not expire. It's once you start to create a blank company and you start to import data, because again, it's designed for us to use it as a viral experience to get customers to load their data. And then eventually, if you're doing it in that manner, the trial, the countdown will continue. So that's CDX. Again, I don't know if there are any questions on the platform. I don't have my screen up here to see any questions, but Mike, if there's something that came on CDX, feel free to chime in, Mike, and moderate that. If not, I'll move on to option number 2.
Sure. We do have a question here. It wants me to select a segment. I'm not sure what all of that acronyms mean. What's best to choose?
Yeah, just find the one that says partner. Anything that says the word partner and maybe SMB. So that should, sometimes yeah, if you set partner and pre-sales, or your technical sales and partner and SMB, those are the key ones. That should open you up to the same experience that I have as well. That's the one I use. So good question. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Only one other question, if you're okay with it. We have a question from Nick asking, Microsoft has indicated for FY25 that we as partners will only be provided a single tenant at a time for 90 days according to CDX. Is this something Microsoft is going to adjust?
I don't know on that, Nick. Again, I've had some stressful moments just like you. So it sounds like, and again, mine went from 6 to 1 also, and it just bumped up to 3. So I'm not sure. I'm not connected on the strategy side of it, but we can certainly circle back and find out, Nick. But I know it's kind of been a pain, and maybe this next section might be something I might consider if I were in your shoes. And that's the paid sandbox. So option number 2, and I put the hard URL in here because I always forget the second part here. So it's experience.dynamics.com and request license. And let me show you what it looks like and what this is about, this program, because you may find this to be a lot more favorable if you're starting out. And if you just I'll go back real quick. So if you just go to the experience.dynamics.com, you come out to this page here. And so there's a wealth of information around all of different programs, the release planner. If you're looking to give feedback to ideas, how ideas is where our engineering team gets ideas from customers and partners like you to vote up and vote down different features in the product. And I couldn't figure out where the license was. So that's why I said, make sure you copy down that the request license in the URL. And what that will do, it'll bring you to this landing page. And you could read some of the small print, but effectively, this is where you can, as a partner with your NPN ID, go and sign up for a paid sandbox environment. And so again, before you say, Craig, I'm not paying for something I should get for free in terms of demos, just hear me out, because it may make sense for some of you. At the bottom, you can see I got the call out here where it has view all the sandbox SKUs. Virtually most of the Dynamics applications have some form of a partner paid sandbox experience as part of the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program. So you can see here again, you can do this on your own. What I did is I zoomed in just so that you can see what the Business Central Partner Sandbox is. It is essentially $6 per user per month with a 5-user license, right? So we're looking at $30 per user, $30 per partner per month. So a little over $700, right? $600, $700 to get in and have a Business Central environment. So again, here's the landing page. It's that request license. And just like I did with the other option 1, there are pros and cons. The pros, I think, far outweigh anything. And if it were me, and again, starting out of practice, this is probably where I would focus my time with my demo environments, because number 1, Business Central doesn't expire. I do have a premium license. I'm also able to add all the ISV and the third-party applications that we might use or you're using as you're selling and you're going to market with your industry message. You're going to build in demo data. You want to add multiple companies. So for you as a partner, just to remove some of the restrictions that are associated with that 90-day limitation, this may be a better way for you to go. And again, the con obviously is, I get it, it's a cost. It's a cost of a sale. But for the amount of challenges sometimes that CDX brings, because as we talked about, now you only have one tenant that you can use interchangeably, and you always need to have a sandbox, or I always like to have 2 running, one to test, and then one when I actually go and present in front of partners. So there's a good and a bad again on that option 2, on that sandbox environment. Again, I shared the URL. It's experience.dynamics.com /request license. The third one, and I've used this for a number of different variety of reasons, and that is you can go in to trials.dynamics.com, the same site that I just did with Business Central, and just go ahead and sign up with your email, right? So I can come in here, hit Finance Ops, hit Try Free, choose my trial, and this time I just put in my email address, and then you can kind of follow through on there. So pros and cons on that. The pro, my Microsoft 365 license doesn't expire because it's using my corporate credentials to allow me to use Outlook, Word, Excel. The mobile experience, if you're going to show the mobile app, right, I don't have to log in and out because it's already right there in my hand. Just the login experience is a lot easier. Now, the cons of it, and this is why I've stopped using this, is you as a partner may not have access to all of the applications that you want to highlight that are integrated into Business Central, right? Maybe you want to show Power Apps, but your IT hasn't given you the permissions or access to those particular apps. There's going to be conflict with your internal production environment. So maybe you don't want, if you're doing a demonstration of Business Central and customer engagement and sales, maybe you don't want everybody to see all your data. And again, you're limited in those scenarios where I don't have 25 different users. And the biggest thing is you're most likely not an admin user. So I get partners a lot of times that are coming to our workshops and they're using Business Central when they're logged into with their corporate credentials, and they're just not able to have that flexibility of modifying screens, doing the full breadth power user that sometimes you in the pre-sales engineer role really need access to. Okay, so those are the three platforms, I guess, or scenarios. Excuse me. Those are the three areas, the three options I would recommend that you have for Business Central. Again, you have CDX, you've got the partner paid sandbox, and then you have your email address. Again, maybe have all three running so that you have flexibility, again, depending on the environment, depending on the scenario where you want to go. I hope that clarifies. And again, I think the partner sandbox is probably, depending on your level of investment with Business Central, would probably be the easiest way to go, just because, again, you're just removing some of those limitations. Now, scenarios kind of blends in with resources. One of the items that Velocio asked me to talk about was helping you as a partner think through repeatable demos, having structure, thinking about how do I get started, and getting the core part of my Business Central demos locked and ready to go. So there are two different assets, resources that I have been investing in at Microsoft, but on your behalf. Essentially, there's a demo playbook, and then I used to deliver a demo Business Central in a day workshop. It was a full 8-hour hands-on experience. You would come to a Microsoft office at one of our city centers, whatever, across the country. You'd come with a demo environment, and we would get hands-on. We'd roll up our sleeves, and we'd build out kind of our demo environments and just how do I connect OCR? How do I connect customer engagement? How do I make sure that Power BI shines the way it should? Not just integrating some of the sample reports, but thinking bigger out, how do I make my demo environment just look great? And so those two are the resources I'll share with you here. And then we'll dig into scenarios that maybe you guys want to see, and we'll go from there. So the first asset I just want to make sure you're all familiar with, and it's in the process of being updated. This is the demo playbook. And again, I don't have the luxury of seeing each of your faces here, but this is essentially a 24 pre-built demos for you as a partner to take advantage of. And how you use that is totally up to you. I used to use this because back in the early days of Business Central, I was always being asked to say, Craig, we have a new partner who wants to sign up, wants to learn. We need help. Can you give them a demo? And so I would have to do all these live demos, and it was exhausting. And you could imagine over and over again. So let me show you what this tool looks like and how you use it. And so here you can see I'm in the process of updating this. So by the end of next week, you can have access to this. If you download this link today, you will basically download the 2022. It was the last time I had updated this. There's some slides in the beginning just to help you understand the navigation and the resources. But again, there are 1,072 slides inside of this playbook. And the goal of it is that you start here on slide number 7, and that you could bounce around and you have the flexibility to going any one of these pre-built demos. And as I mentioned to you earlier, like my goal at Microsoft is always to make a partner's job, your lives easier, to get you up and running quicker. And it's the same thing here. I take out all the hard work of having to build out, manufacturing data. How do I connect to a bank account that has demo data and doing consolidations, right? All the things that take some time to do setup. How do I connect Business Central and Dynamics 365 Sales? I take that out of the formula for you so you can, again, depending on the scenario, rely on this. let me show you how it works. So if I I just want to show you, I'll collapse all of the sections. So again, slide 7 is the crux of it. And then if we go down, so you can see here, I am using sections inside of PowerPoint. And so whenever you click on a box, it's going to shortcut you to the appropriate sections. Now, the other thing is I have been through demos. I've been through 24 years of demos with partners, all kinds of shapes, sizes, industry, non-industry. And so there's just a style and a professionalism in the way in which I expect partners to deliver demos. And that's really what this is also providing, is kind of a framework, if you will, or just guidelines on here's how you should deliver a demo. The other thing is, and then I'll show you how you can leverage this, is on every one of these 1,000 slides, it has a what to say and where to click. And so that if you've got somebody brand new, maybe you task them with learning Business Central, maybe they're in charge of doing weekly webinars or open office hours, maybe this is a tool they could leverage and use. And so again, you know that if we're tied to a second monitor, right, you can see that all of this would be on my second screen, so the customer doesn't see that. And so you could just simply go and follow along where to click, what to say. The other thing I'd say is, again, back to the whole demo style, is there's a style in which it was based on a book many of you might be familiar with called Demo to Win. It was a structure that we teach for years and years and years. It was about your demos should either be in the form of a business process, which is the bottom section, or a job function, which is the top section. Okay, so that's sort of here. That's how it works here. Now, again, let me just show you, and you can see here some icons, some Copilot icons. So I've started to add the new features that came out in April into this playbook, and so that you as a partner have leveraged, again, the most current technology here. So for example, if I was just going to do an order to cash demo, so I click on here, and again, part of the way in which I would like you to think through demos is there's a pause. This is an opening. I'm going to explain order to cash, and in that there's a visual roadmap, right? This is a visual roadmap, so I can tell everybody we're going to create a sales order. We're going to post it. We're going to view the details, and I'll register the customer payment. So let's start with the first step. And here again, this is, I get it. Sometimes partners will be like, well, I'll never do a click-through demo. Maybe you handpick a couple of ones that are hard to do. Here you can see I grab a customer, I hit OK, I hit enter, and it brings me back to the shortcut here. So I use the personalize because I talk about, all I have to do is choose the customer, hit enter, and it brings me right to the lines. Now I could type in the word desk, I could tab off, put in the quantity. I could also do multi-select. And now I also have Copilot. Copilot gives me the opportunity to suggest sales line items by just simply typing in what I want. Hey, I need to add 2 lamps. I hit generate, I hit insert, and there it is. Now I'll go ahead and post the sales order. So I just kind of walk through a typical process in the case here of order to cash, show them the ledger entries, what's all that going on behind the scenes, ship an invoice, and then go from there, right? So again, view the invoice details. And again, I'm not going to bore you guys. You guys have access to this. You can download it. I'm just going to get to the end of the slide. Again, those blue slides were there just to give a pause for you as a speaker, but also for your audience to consume and digest what you just showed them. Post the payments. I post it, hit scroll down, and then I could drill into the bank. And that's it. Now so my opening demo and closing demos always start on the home page. I just think it's cleaner, right? It's less for people to investigate and say, hey, what's over there, Craig? What's that? And then at the end of every section, you'll have a slide that looks like this. And the goal is for you and pre-sales engineers to talk about the so what. What was the reason why you showed that? And they can either hit the bottom right corner library, or because I use that top right icon, which gives me a zoom, when I'm done, it brings me back to this main dashboard. And I can say, hey, let's talk about drop ships. right? So I do drop ship, and here are the 5 steps on a drop ship. Let's go create a sales order. Boom, boom, right? Using Copilot, generate blah, blah, blah. Maybe my audience gets bored and I get lost. I hit 7, I hit enter, and I'm right back here in my dialog box. So I hope that is helpful. Again, it's a tool and a resource for all of you to use. And I just need what I do next is, again, all these screenshots have been updated. I then go and record these so there's MP4 files, because I find that not everybody wants to read these scripts on the speaker notes. Maybe somebody wants to just they prefer to follow my voice. So I create all of those 24 scenarios into MP4 files. So all that, again, will be polished up, zipped up, and available for you. As I said, you're welcome to drop. This is the link. This is our vanity URL. If you download it today, it's about a 500 megabyte file, and it includes 2 versions of the PowerPoint. One that you've seen here with the bubbles, and then there's another version where I go and remove all these click bubbles. So if somebody just wanted this high fidelity experience, and again, and maybe I'm bleeding into a little bit of technique, but notice I don't have my URL at the top. I don't have my toolbar down below. All of these have been screen captured in such a way that there's no distraction. So you don't need to see my MSN tab on my other window that's open. You don't need to see my Wells Fargo on my favorites bar. So again, that's a tool and a resource for you that, again, it gives structure, it gives training, and the feedback I've gotten over the years has been fantastic. I hear from partners that what started out as a resource for me just to survive in doing demos, I've got partners like Inovia who would tell me, "Hey, Craig, we give this to our new employees, whenever somebody is new, they had to go and go through this deck so they could understand and learn how to demo Business Central." I see these videos that I've created out on partner websites. That's fine. I mean, that's certainly an option for you to help use in terms of digital assets. And then I also, the one I never expected was we had a partner out of Miami who told me they just give this to any prospect as a way for the prospect to self-qualify themselves. So again, good to know that they have the partner come and say, "Hey," the customer go and say, "Hey, what is Business Central all about?" So Mike, any questions on that? Let me minimize here. I don't know that I have access to the chat.
Sure. Couple
Anything? I don't see anything.
questions.
Okay.
What was the site to download this playbook? We'll make sure to get that link out to you. I think that was on one of your slides.
Yeah, it's just I made it simple. ak.ms/BC, which is short for Business Central. So BC Sales Tools. And again, if you want to bookmark a footnote or something in your calendar for next Friday, that's my goal. It just takes a lot of time. I've got to record the videos, edit them. At Microsoft, we're required when we do digital assets to do closed caption. So I need to make sure that all that has been polished and my spoken word is converted to text. So it takes a few days more to get it done. But if you can download it today if you want to see the current version, and then if you want to look back again in a week or so.
Great. One question, this might have been from the CDX, but is the demo possible to have active specific localization, for example, Mexico electronic invoicing?
Ooh, I'm not sure. Maybe we could circle that back to somebody on your team, or I can try and find out. I think when you download that tenant for Business Central, it's usually in North America English. So what you go and install is up to you, but I don't know that by default any languages or localizations are installed with it.
Awesome. Yeah, I just put that for follow-up. And then someone said, "I need this in my life." So that's a great question. We like that. You mentioned that this was being updated currently. What's the timeline for that?
Like I said, I've got most of my screenshots completed and updated. My goal to get this done would be by the end of, or by next Friday, is what I've been promising our product team in Seattle and Redmond So my goal is to have everything buttoned up, and that same link, that aka.ms/BC sales tools, that same link will be what'll auto download. So by the 16th.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Great feedback. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate the questions. I never know who's using these tools, and yet I see the downloads over the years. They're in the thousands. And for me, and as somebody who said, "Hey, thanks for having this in my life," there was a woman that came up to me. I did a demo session on all these tools at Directions in San Diego in April, and a woman came up to me after and said, "I had no idea that this was available, or that you were the one that built it for me, because I'm a Great Plains, a GP partner. I've been selling it for years, and I sold my first Business Central deal." And she said, "This click-through demo just saved my bacon. It gave me the confidence to go and present to my customers." So again, I'm happy to set up another session if you guys want, or you can go through these to see which ones are salient for you. But maybe you pick a handful that you do live, and then you pick a couple of these that you're going to say, "Hey, let me just show you real quick how to do quote to cash," or I'm sorry, yeah, quote to cash using Business Central and Dynamics 365 Sales. Right? You don't have to have the stress of worrying about it going to work, and you don't have the stress of it being, having to configure it.
Hey,
Okay.
Craig, do you know, is there a particular browser that they need to use?
For
It's not coming up in Chrome or IE.
it should auto download.
Okay,
Let me just double check here. Maybe if it's not working, maybe just try an in private browser.
sure.
And let's see here. I'll test it. aka.ms BC sales tools. Yep. See, mine's downloading.
Yeah, maybe
Right.
check that download area.
Yep. And I have it set. I have it stored on a Dropbox account, and it should be set to auto download from your browser. So if it's not working, maybe try it in private or incognito for some reason, and that get you going.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. Okay. So with the time that we have left here, and just so you guys all know, there, like I said, this was a workshop. Maybe you guys can use your chat feature in a moment here. I'm gonna have Michael tally the results. As I mentioned to you, we used to, back in 2016 to 2019, travel, do road shows, and I would sit with you in the room, and I have 50 partners in the room, and I'm running around making sure that we all know how to connect. How do we configure Business Central to all the, I'd say, the areas I find to be uh, more of a differentiator, right? I didn't spend any time on implementations. I'm not spending time in doing GL posting setup accounts or debits and credits. It was all focused on how do I get the cool stuff configured. So with that in mind, I built out this workshop, and it was, again, how do I configure Outlook to show that quote to cash demo without ever going into Business Central? Do we have our mobile devices? Because we have a great story with product parity between our mobile device and Business Central. How do I edit Word forms? How do I connect all the different areas around Excel? And so you can see here, there was a number of different sections that we covered. With the time we have here, and again, I never plan to spend or compress an 8-hour workshop into a 50-minute webinar, but maybe each one of you on the call, if you don't mind, maybe just jot in the chat window, and then Michael can tell me the first one, the one that's good, the vote of the highest, and maybe I could start there, and then we'll go and we'll tick some of these off the box. But so again, if you're sitting there saying, "Hey, Craig, I really understand how do you connect Outlook, or how do you connect Power BI? How do I get great sample data?" I don't know, Mike, if you're getting any results in there. If not, I'll just go and handpick one.
Sure. Put it in the chat, people.
Well,
Let's see what
we'll
we
go to the second
get.
one here. I'll go ahead and I'll do
Yeah,
Power BI.
sure.
Oh, I don't have the right. Hang on. Ah, my jump boxes are broken. Hang on. All right, here we go. Power BI. Oh, Mike, you could chime in on the next one. So Power BI for years has become a very simple and easy way for us to enhance the role-based homepage. But there's a lot of features and capabilities that you can highlight in your demo. So for example, if I'm here in Business Central, when you start up your trial for the first time, you can just go to powerbi.microsoft.com on a separate tab or in the browser, or you could just hit the Get Started with here. Because you notice I just need to register this free license that I get with Business Central. So I hit Next, and you'll notice it says, hey, Craig, you need to go to the Power BI homepage. So if I click on that, it'll open up in a new tab. So essentially, again, I can go to powerbi.microsoft.com. I can sign in, and that'll authenticate me, and then I can come back to Business Central, follow the wizard, hit Next, hit Finish, and then you'll get a sample report. So this will take about 30, 40 seconds for that page to refresh. And again, all that is doing is basically looking to make sure that I do have that free license that I get of Power BI when I license either the 70 or the $100 license of Business Central. From there, we can connect our BC or Business Central reports via Power BI. So if I come into the apps, hit Get Apps here, and you type in Business Central, there are a number of different we call them apps, if you will, but they're reports, dashboards. This one is called Finance. So if you hit Get It Now, go ahead and hit Install. You now got a sample report from Business Central. And you'll always get this bar. It says, hey, it's not connected to BC. So if you hit Connect, what you need to do is type in your company name. So, and then remove the word sandbox. So those are only the two requirements. And if you're not sure where to get the company name, I think my Business Central here is still active. Nope. You basically will type in this, if you're just using the default standard demo data, it's Kronos space USA, comma, Inc., period. And then get rid of the word sandbox and just type in the word production. You can ignore the authentication for now. This is, again, because it's in our demo environment, I'm not so much worried. But use the OAuth 2, and then you could leave it however you want. And then that will then refresh, and that will bring me to Business Central data coming into Power BI in a live format. Now, there's some things that you can take advantage of. Again, you can see here, for example, I clicked on the Get Insights, and this is a paid feature, so this will start to tick down on my you'll get a reminder here at the top right corner. But this Insights feature helps business decision makers explore and find insights such as anomalies or trends in their data that they can interact and consume with. So I think, to me, as a pre-sales engineer, I'm able to start to have dialogue and show them that, hey, I'm not just showing you crayons and paintbrushes, and I'm not just staring at bar charts and graphs, but with this experience inside of Power BI, I can start to interact and truly start to understand my data, and using these insights feature to present some different data. And again, this does require a premium SKU of Power BI, so I'm not trying to, just making sure you know about that. And then you can collapse the anomalies, and then you can also click on the trends. Another thing I've had partners always tell me, hey, this is great. I didn't know you can do this. You can export your Power BI reports, dashboards to Excel, PDF, or in my scenario, I like to show it in PowerPoint. And the benefit and how I tie this into a story when I'm in front of an exec is you're getting ready to present to your board members, your constituents. You're on the fly, you're getting ready to present on screen. You're able to export that data directly into PowerPoint. And it's a live feed in the live link, assuming I'm on the internet. So if I'm in PowerPoint in slideshow mode, it'll actually link me back into Power BI. The other way you can get reports in, if you come back into the app, there's kind of the mini section here, the tile on the role-based homepage, is you select on the report, and then you can edit the list, and then just choose that list. So that finance report I just added, and then you could start to do spotlight. You could look at the data here. So there are some slight interactions that you have here in the top right when you hover over the menu bar. And then again, you can go out and get reports. If you click on services, it brings me right into AppSource, but again, under the guise that I'm inside of Business Central. Now, the one other report I try to mention to partners when we're in workshops, this came out about a year, I want to say, or maybe 2 years ago, this Business Central app usage. So again, depending on who your audience is, maybe you've got an IT officer, and you go ahead and install this, and you show them all of the telemetry that they have access to see what features are being used in the tenant. What are the page views? Who's using it? All the application areas and all the different sessions that are being are connected to inside of Business Central. In terms of quick insights, I showed you a little bit of that, but you can go into my workspace here. If you grab a report, you have here where you do quick insights. So quick insights gives me that. It also gives me quick, what do you call it? Kind of a rich visualization, if you will. But I have to do it on the report level, and you'll say quick. And now you can see here, I've got these machine learning algorithms that is powered by Azure AI inside of Power BI that's now giving me, again, a little bit of a different story around some of my data. So I'm not just looking at that sample data that comes from Business Central. And then the other sample you can get is you hit Get Apps again. Type in the word, well, you're just looking for Power BI. There used to be a lot more, but there's a Power BI called Sales and Marketing. So if you just need to enhance some of the data inside of Business Central, you can go ahead and drill in there. And notice, oh, I do have this little kind of a, be careful. Notice when I drill in the report, the map visual isn't filled in. So you come into settings and go to the admin portal and you type in map visual. It's disabled by default. When you hit apply, hit refresh. If I drill back in there, my map is all set up. Okay. So I hope that is a starting point for just Power BI. And again, I'm not trying to rush everybody in here. I was just trying to show you a couple of things. I'll give you a link to where all of my recordings of this workshop exists. But is there, Mike, one that give me one or two and I'll determine based on our time what we can cover.
We had a lot talk about Outlook. Let's see here. What was it specifically?
Outlook's fun.
Outlook. Yep.
All right. So configuring Outlook. There are a couple of steps. First, you need to get the Outlook add-in. You'll open up Outlook. You need to sign into that sample email and then create. I do in a workshop, have you guys create your own sample emails. And then all of that I do in Outlook Web Access. And then the last step, I always want to make sure I connect my desktop experience. So here I am inside of Business Central. You can do this a number of different ways. You can hit Alt-Q. You can do the global search. You can ask Copilot. But what I'm looking for is the Outlook add-in. So just type in the word Outlook add-in and then follow the prompts. Again, you could also go in here into settings and do all the assisted setup. And make sure, and by default, this is always turned on now. In the past, it may not have been. So you hit finish. And then what you'll do is you'll come out here and you'll switch from Business Central to Outlook. And you'll get a sample email that looks like this. Now, for me, if I'm going to use this in a demo, our Outlook filters tend to block the images. So I always make sure I either show the block content or just have that I trust this content that came here. And you can see here in the body, and I'll show it to you when we do the demo, but there's two different items that it's asking you that the customer is sending to you. And then you come into the apps, and then you see here's the Business Central. click on the contact insights. Now you can see again, I'm very forthcoming and I have managed workshops for the last 7, 8 years. And everybody will say, Craig, I can't get it to work. Make sure you open up your browser settings and make sure that you allow Business Central. So the pop-ups is blocking that add-in. So when I clicked on this contact insights, you notice I get that error message, and it'll even tell you, hey, make sure that you have your pop-up blocker turned off for this site. So if you go to browser settings, go to site permissions, pop-ups, then we go back to Business Central, you hit try it again, allow, that'll refresh. And now you've got a live portal, a live feed into this customer from this email. And so you can see, for example, I could drill into that customer ledger entries, and you can hit the back button. And this is great. Like, you can build a story around this anytime, right? I get an email from a customer, and I don't have to go into Business Central. I can quickly see by hitting that one button, that add-in gives me all the details about the customer. I can scroll down. I can hit the information icon and see again their address, their ship to address, all the contacts, invoicing, etc. And then from here, I can go and create a sales quote. Now, here's the beauty of this email and this setup for you. And to me, this is one of those hero demos I've always mentioned to partners and customers. Think about what's about to happen here is that in this applet, in this little mini app, it is seeing the body of my email. And notice that in the email, we've set up this kind of sample data that the customer is asking for 7 chairs and 2 tables. Business Central has the intelligence in its partnership with Outlook that it's reading the body of the email and it sees those 2 items and it's saying, hey, do you want to add those to the line item? And I say, yes, okay. Notice that I got this quote, 1003. I can back out, hit the information icon. Here's my ongoing sales quote, 1003. If we go into Business Central, there's my sales quotes. There's 1003, the same quote that I just created. So it's a very powerful demo. Again, I have it pre-configured for you. Most of what I just showed you is the setup. Now, what I do for partners, and this is going to be in the video if you go through it, is I have you go in and create a new customer. Add a customer name and email address and use your work email. Create a new email, kind of like what I just showed you. Like, hey, go ahead and send me a quote for 7 items, 2 chairs, whatever it might be. And here are some of the sample items inside of inventory. And then send it to that demo user. And then from that in private browser. And so what happens is if I do a new customer, here's essentially what I want you to do, is it just doesn't matter B2B, B2C. I created a new company called Microsoft and I put in my email address. So then what I did is every time I sent an email to my demo user, and I also attached a file, whenever that admin opened up the applet on Business Central, they saw me, they saw Microsoft, and they made that connection. So I just want to be clear. How Outlook add-in works, there's 2 components. Actually, it's just one. It's this email right here. Whoops. My pen died, so it is all right here. Okay. And then the last thing I'll point out, you could do your same demo, is to connect Business Central to the desktop. So the configuration and the sign-in you saw is all through Outlook Web Access. It just doesn't give me a lot of flexibility to alter the size of that column, and I just don't think it's as just not as nice of an experience. So what I do is I go into my account settings and I add that demo account that I created in CDX or my sandbox environment, connect it. You have to restart Outlook, but then once you do that, at the bottom of your navigation pane, you go to your inbox and right click and add that to favorites. And now that's going to be here in my inbox. So what that does, a couple of things and a benefit for you as a pre-sales engineer. Number one, now it doesn't bring in any of my work emails, right? Because it's a separate inbox here at the bottom. And I'm able to resize this so I can control all these columns. So it just is a little bit better experience, a little bit of fidelity for those end users. So that's the demo, I would say, for configuring Outlook and getting Business Central to connect with them. Okay. So let me do this. I know we're really close to time. I want to give you the link to this. And again, that's under the resources. So I've given you this is the link for the playbook. So everybody's clear the differences. This is more that pre-built demo. And then the workshop. And again, the videos that are out there today are from about November or December. I'm in the process of updating those videos as well. So those should be out in another week or two. And here's the link to it. So again, these links will always stay the same. You may have a different experience of where I redirect you to, but the goal is that these videos are like 5 to 8 minutes. And again, I did it in a way that I could keep your attention. Hey, Craig, how do I go and do all the Copilot, AI, machine learning? Where do I go and set up the late payment predictor? What app should I create on the fly to begin with? So all of that is here inside of that particular workshop. And then I'd be remiss if you guys all didn't know, like to me, if there's one link that consolidates all of our links, the engineering team put together this vanity URL. So it's just Business Central links, BC links. And it brings you to this landing page on the Learn or docs.microsoft.com. And from there, you can see in the backdrop, there are all these different shortcuts. So to me, if you just needed one link for everything, it's there. So I know we're up against time again. I started with the connection to Business Central demos and the Olympics, and I know there's a lot of preparation that goes into building demos. I know you guys put in so much time and effort, as I always do, and I always want to make sure that we put our best foot forward, that we're making sure that we're ahead of the judging bias, that people look at us in a much more favorable way in the gold medal category than they do the silver medal. Right? Because nobody remembers second place. We always remember first. So with that, I want to say thank you. I'll pass the microphone back to Mike. I know we, with 30 seconds to spare, but I really do appreciate everyone's investment in learning more about Business Central and some of the demo strategies for you.
Sure. Thank you so much.